Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're doing something totally new, and I hope to be bringing you several videos in this series, and that's making toddler entry-level eating foods. So whether your baby's doing baby-fed weaning and is old enough to handhold and eat textured foods, this would be a great one. But we're going to be bringing you several videos in the series of things I want to make from home that my grandkids can eat, that are healthy and should save you money especially if you garden and grow your own food. We're making today some oatmeal bars and some vegetable muffins. Now, both of my recipes today will be egg-free because one of my grandsons is allergic to eggs, unfortunately. But let's see, oven heating up. But you could add egg to it if you like. So let's get going, and we're going to start on the oatmeal bars. So I'm kind of playing with the recipe here because I want to pack in as much nutritional goodness as I can into a single recipe. So I'll try to be super clear on what I have. So this is 1 3/4 cup of old-fashioned oats, not quick oats, they're just regular oats. I decided for extra binding and to hold it together, the last 1/4 cup, I went ahead and ground some of the oats to make oat flour. So that is a 1/4 cup of oat flour. Don't feel like you have to buy oat flour. If you have rolled oats, all I simply use is my coffee grinder, clean it out, and then grind what I need. So that's all I did for that. I have 2 heaping tablespoons of ground flax seed. I did the same thing. I buy my flax seed just whole, and I grind it when I need it ground in recipes. We are adding 3 tablespoons of hemp hearts. This will be some good protein in it. I have about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And for seasoning, now one thing I think people don't think about is introducing their young toddlers to flavors beyond just the ingredient itself. And spices have in and of themselves wonderful beneficial properties for us. And go ahead and when you're introducing your young ones to foods, introduce them to the wonderful flavors of herbs and spices too. So now I'm putting in about 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Okay, and then we'll go in with some cinnamon, about 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Now I can remember one of my children being sensitive to cinnamon, like if it was like direct contact to skin. So just watch it as you introduce your young ones to these spices, see what they're sensitive to, and you don't necessarily have to take it out, just scale back or make sure that they don't have like direct contact of that spice on their skin, and that usually solves it. Okay, now I'm going to mix in, this is about 1 1/3 cups of mashed bananas. And I just pulled these from my freezer. Anytime I have bananas that are getting a bit too ripe for my liking, I throw them in the freezer, and we will always have them ready to go. 6 tablespoons of milk. You can certainly use almond milk, soy milk, whatever your family likes. And now I have 3 tablespoons of our maple syrup. You can leave this out. If you think that the fruit's going to be sweet enough for your young one, totally leave it out. If you don't have maple syrup, you could substitute it with sugars. Now, honey is one of those things that you don't want to introduce until your baby or toddler is old enough. So depending on the age of your young one, you could also use honey. But since I have a grandson that is just 6 months old, and a grandson that is 15 months old, we'll go with just the maple syrup. Now I'm going to mix all of this together, and we're going to let this sit for 5 minutes just so that the oats can absorb some of that liquid and moisture before we bake it. And now I was just for fact checking before I did the video, because we don't buy this kind of stuff at the store. I said, you know, I know it, when I was a mom and I had kids at home, I was always buying granola bars. I said, how much is a pack of Quaker oatmeal bars these days? And they're running about $6 for 14. So we'll see how much we get out of this, and I bet we are saving big time money, and much, much, much more wholesome, nutritious, no preservatives, no artificial flavorings, just all real good ingredients. Okay, so that's well mixed in. I'm just gonna let this sit and put this aside for 5 minutes, and then we'll bake it. Okay, I just off camera went ahead and got all the ingredients ready for the veggie muffins. But what I forgot to mention was, instead of bananas, feel free to use applesauce, or if you want to mix in additional fruits and don't have fresh fruit, but maybe you have some jam. I brought out a can of peaches. I didn't know what I was going to use, but I went ahead with the bananas that had been sitting in the freezer because they needed to be used up the longest, or the soonest. So I'm going to I just have a baking pan that I'm going to, I have lined with parchment paper so I can easily pull out the granola bars when they're done. It's probably not necessary. And I'm going to, let me stop with the metal spoon. Put all this goodness in there, and then we're going to pack it down pretty tightly so that they cut nicely once they're cooled. And I was also thinking, well, I'm doing this purposefully for my young grandkids, healthy, wholesome, toddler friendly, baby weaning, first foods practice. Who doesn't love granola bars? So, Todd and I, we will likely try one of these today, and it might be something fun that I can make up before we go to the cabin and just have some granola bars on hand for the weekend. But really, the primary purpose is get these made up. I will keep some out for the week, and then anything extra I will freeze and just pull out and let thaw as needed to have for future visits. All right, I think we got that packed in there pretty good. So I'm going to bake this at 350, I believe. Yep, 350 for, I think it said 20 minutes. So we'll check it at that time and see how it's doing. Wasn't that simple? So simple and quick, so quick. It was quite a few ingredients, but if you take time and you just did this once a month and then did a big batch and packed it away in the freezer, just think how much better for your family it would be, and then you would also save some change in your pocketbook. All right, today, this next recipe is going to be veggie muffins. Again, I'm doing an egg-free version, but you could totally add egg to this. What was I gonna say? Think lunches. So this, I plan on serving with lunch, and I have a future video coming out making homemade chicken nuggets that are healthy, and so serving one of these with a couple chicken nuggets I think is gonna be great. So that was 1.5 cups of flour. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of cornmeal. I have 2 heaping tablespoons of nutritional yeast, which if you're not familiar with nutritional yeast, it is delicious. It has benefits that I'm not going to quote, so you can research it, but it has a very buttery, cheesy flavor. So without adding cheese, I'm going to get some of that good cheese flavor in there. This is 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So let me mix all that up. All right, now our wet ingredients is a cup of milk, 1/2 cup of oil, And I have a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and I accidentally put my dill in there, so we're going to go ahead and throw our dill in there too. And that's just as much as you'd like. Just think about what kind of seasonings you would like to add in here. Maybe paprika would be good too, but I've used dill. All right, so I'm going to mix all that together, and then we're going to fold in shredded carrots and shredded zucchini. Now, you can use whatever vegetables you would prefer. I had carrots and zucchini already shredded and frozen in the freezer. What I did was I took those out last night to thaw, drained them really good, squeezed all the extra moisture out. So while this doesn't look like it, this is probably 1.5 cups of fresh frozen or fresh grated zucchini and 1/2 cup of grated carrots. So we're going to mix that in just gently. We don't want to overwork this dough. I'm just going to fold it in just to evenly distribute the vegetables. All right, and that's what it looks like. Absolutely glorious, beautiful. So you could add like garlic to this, onion, all kinds of things. I mean, just use what you have. I had pulled out peas, thinking I might throw peas in it, but we'll just save those for a different recipe. So I need to get my muffin scoop. All right, and I just have silicone lined muffins. You can use your paper or just grease your muffin tins. And we're just doing even scoops in each one. And again, think of this outside of just your little ones. Like, this is a great grab and go snack if you've got errands to run midday. Super healthy, great way to get in some vegetables for picky eaters at the dinner table, and just serve these as a side with your dinner. And this is something else that I see oftentimes people are buying nowadays is healthy vegetable muffins. And you can get this Veggie brand. I forget what it's called. It was just called Veggies. And at Target, I think like a 4-pack or a 6-pack goes for $6. And we made this for absolute pennies. Fortunately, because I was able to grow my veggies. But even if you just used 1 zucchini and a couple small carrots, you would be able to make this quite affordably compared to buying it. So I'm just going to try to evenly spread out this extra. Now the fun thing that we're going to do on this, I'm not going to do it to all of them because in case the young one wants to try these, nuts or like dried fruits would be too much for him. So on a few of them, we're going to add some pepitas and some sliced almonds or dried cranberries, whatever you have handy. So I have some bigger walnut pieces I won't add in, but just to get another little nutritional punch in there. So I'm just waiting for the oatmeal bars to be done, and then we'll bake these. And I will break into one so that you can see it, and probably have that with my lunch today. All right, there they are. How about that? Todd walked in the house, he said, "Whatever you're cooking sure smells good." And that'll show you just about how thick they are. So almost exactly like a Quaker Oat bar. It's an odd size pan I have. I don't know what that is. I would say 6 by 9 or so. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's just an old vintage pan. So I'm gonna let these cool for a bit, and then we will slice them in little skinny fingers because, you know, babies don't need anything much, but you could slice it however you like. So the oven is preheated, getting preheated back up to 350 because once the 20 minutes was done on these, I did shut the oven off and let them sit for about 5 more minutes. Once that gets back up to 350, we're gonna bake our muffins for 20 minutes as well. Alrighty, don't those look great? I'm gonna let them cool, but I'm gonna break into them and show you what they look like inside. I ended up cutting all of my little granola bars, just perfect little finger size sticks, perfect for a little one's hands. Once they're all the way cool, they're pretty much there now. I just pulled out some parchment paper, cut them up in strips. I'm gonna wrap those up, stick them in a Ziploc baggie down in the freezer, and then similarly with these, once they cool, I'll individually wrap them and put them in a freezer bag in the freezer. So that was just super fun, and I'm so inspired. It's been a long time since I've cooked for little ones, and now with the new appreciation that I have over these last few years of wholesome foods, real foods, teaching kids to explore different flavors at a young age, how to work in all those vegetables and good things that today's foods just are missing, commercially produced. So tips on saving money too. Everything's just rising in prices out there. So let's get back to the basics and let's start making it at home. Hope this video inspires you to start cooking more from your kitchen. And until next time, I'll see you on the next video. Bye guys. You didn't think I forgot, did you? Wow. That looks great. Light, fluffy, yummy. Very good. Did I put any sweetener in this recipe? It's not sweet at all. It's very savory, which is good for lunch. Probably benefit with a little bit of honey. Very, very good. Hey, it's 11:30. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this one.